call the meeting to order, and we'll be led in prayer by Commissioner Bill Anderson.
All right, let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing all of us to live in this great county of Bedford County. We all do love it so much, and we're so thankful to you. And dear Lord, please bless everybody in this room, and especially the commissioners, to make the best decisions for the people of Bedford County. In your name we pray.
Amen. Thank you for that. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, the meeting will now officially be opened by the Sheriff, Austin Swing.
Hear ye, the Bedford County Board of Commissioners is now in session. The Honorable Mayor, Chad Graham, is presiding.
Thank you. If you be seated. All right, well, we certainly want to say thank you to everyone that come out tonight. The weather is evolving as we speak, so we'll tarry along or trot along here as fast as we can, depending on how things evolve. When you do get ready to leave tonight, be conscious of the steps. Somebody's already brought that to my attention, so let's be careful and make sure we get back safe. First item on the is roll call by County Clerk Donna Thomas.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Boutwell,
Here.
Commissioner Boyette,
Here.
Commissioner Brothers,
Here.
Commissioner Epperson, Commissioner Farrer,
Here.
Commissioner Hooker,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Maddox,
Here.
Commissioner Neely,
Here.
Commissioner Pinson,
Here.
Commissioner Sanders,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Adam Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner Mark Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner Thompson,
Here.
Commissioner Vick,
Here.
Commissioner Yaki, 17 present, 1 absent.
All right, so the first item is approval of the minutes from the December 12th, 2023 meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and then next is public comment. There are some folks in the audience. I know Leadership Bedford has some folks. Is there anyone that came here tonight wanting to speak on any item that's on the agenda? If you raise your hand or stand up or, okay, hearing or seeing none, we'll move on. So the first item after that is election and confirmation. So we'll turn that over to the county clerk for the election of the chair and the pro tem.
The floor is now open for nominations for commission chair and pro tem.
Make a motion that Chad Graham serves chairman. And I think, Bill, weren't you and that stay the same? Can we do that in both? There's one motion.
Is that roll call? Any other nominations?
Move nomination cease.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Carries by voice vote.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for that vote of confidence. And Commissioner Farrer has good communication with our office. So anything we need to do, we'll work to get that done for you. Next item on the agenda is Ethics Committee appointments, and it's reappointment annually. Currently serving, and I would like for them to continue to serve. And they've all agreed to, if this body accepts that, is Commissioner Biff Farrer, Commissioner Mark Thomas, Commissioner Julie Sanders, Commissioner Tony Smith, and Trustee Tanya Davis.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any other thoughts or comments? It was Drew and Mark. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you for that. Next is notaries for February.
To approve.
Second.
All right. Any other comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you for that. Nothing to have under presentations tonight. Resolution, under resolutions, Resolution 2412. This is a resolution authorizing a grant application to the Tennessee Housing Development Agency for the home grant. This is the grant that is administered by the South Central Tennessee. We don't administer it and we don't put funds toward it, but we are the grantee. And so we've had that program in the past. You can only apply when you have finished the grant from before. And so we have an opportunity for them to come in and help more residents of Bedford.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, open for discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you, we're moving on.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Hooker.
I had a question about the process with this coming to the floor, of two commissioners being able to sign off on this. I just wanted, just an explanation from either you or Mr. Bobo about the process of our county policy, or rules, when it comes to the commission that authorizes that. I had a department head that questioned me, when I did this, in an earlier session. I just would like just an explanation of that this is an authorized process that we can use, and I'll just leave that up to y'all to be able to give us the background on that.
I'll defer to legal.
That's been a provision in our local rules for some time. Recently, by recently, I mean the last 6 or 8 months, somebody has challenged that, and there's some legal support on the open records, public meeting situation, which I will go on the record to say 2 things. I disagree with that, number 1, and number 2, I'm often wrong. But that's been a process, and I don't think my reading of that changes that at all. There are 3 basic ways to get it here, and otherwise, just 2 commissioners wanting something on does not denote to me any improper conduct. Now, we've heard about, well, you can't get together in the hall, you can't get on the phone, and you know, there is some merit to that discussion, but the remedy to that is any action taken improperly in violation of the Open Meetings Act is void from its very inception, so it is of no effect. So if you meet in the hall and cut a deal, you can be subject to chastisement and you can be subject to the wrath of the voters, but you can't pass any action in the hall that doesn't come in here in public notice. Now, I will not put Commissioner Yaki on the spot, but she studied that very thoroughly, and I'm sure when we have a revamp of the rules, it will be current. But in my opinion, as it stands now, that is an acceptable process. But there are other ways to do it. You can bring it through the committee. Now, of course, if you really want to go overboard on that, you can say, well, if it gets on the committee, apparently somebody has talked to somebody about getting it on the committee. How far does this go? You know, you just can't lock it down. So I personally think, and could be wrong, that the procedure you took was valid and authorized, and changing of that. But that's my opinion.
Thank you very much, and again, I don't want this to reflect poorly on Commissioner Thomas or Johnson. I felt like it was absolutely valid, but I thought that opened an opportunity to be able to talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah, and the current rule does allow for it within the commission's processes, but that is being, and I think that's what Commissioner Yaki is going to say to you right now.
Drew, I can't remember. It may be in Rule 4, but it's one of those
Section R, Rule 2.
that has been through Rules and Legislative Committee to go on to Ginger eventually to look at. But the Rules and Legislative Committee did not think we needed to do away with that because it's the one process, and Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, where something could get hung up or completely stymied at committees and just completely lock out everything. And so even though I disagree with John T. and he allows me to do that, it's still within our bylaws right now, and hopefully we'll stay there.
Yeah, and I don't have any other additional information except that would stand by that and say that currently your rules allow for it, and they're under review by the Rules Committee, and should they want to change that in the future, you could. But that is the fly in the ointment, in my view, is that if you don't have a mechanism, then a committee could actually kill something and keep it from ever coming to the commission, even though just that one particular committee was not interested in going forward. So that's one of the things. This thing was not driven by that concept. This one came to us at the 11th hour by the South Central Development District and needs to be into the state. And so therefore, this is what prompted us to ask it to come before you, but we certainly could have deferred it. We would have just possibly jeopardized getting the full grant, but the body's already voted now in regards to that. So is that acceptable on your side?
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't in reference to this.
Sure.
I think that was a fair process. I just wanted to make sure and connect the parallels to a previous.
We got you.
Because the holidays moved the meeting and know that committee had changed the dates, and so that's how it landed like it did. we didn't circumvent any committees or anything, and it's no funds or anything, it's just a paper shuffle, basically.
Correct, what we call pass-through.
And you
Commissioner
still
Yockey.
require this to happen, what, 10 days, 15 days, just like everything else that's going to be on the agenda?
Correct, it was posted as part of the agenda for public notice, yes. Okay, any other comments regarding that? That's good information and clarification in real time. All right, next item on the agenda, I believe, would be under Rules and Legislative, and that's accepting of the Highway Department road list. It should have been in your packet.
Make a motion to approve it. Second.
Okay, yeah. All right, any comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and then next item under Rules and Legislative is, this is, as the rules currently read for the commission, that you confirm or change your committees and chairmanships of the 4 committees. So I'll defer to Commissioner Biff Fair.
County Mayor, we had no requests, so I guess recommendation will be to let the standing committees remain the same.
Is there a second to that? So much, nothing for law enforcement, courthouse and property, nothing tonight. Financial Management Committee, first item is an amendment. It's amendment number 3 to the agreement between Vanderbilt Hospital and Bedford County government. This is the drug screen agreement between EMS and the hospital. Because that contract is more than 1 year is why it comes before you. But it's just our agreement that they will do chain of custody and be responsible to do our drug screens when we need those.
Motion to approve.
That was second, Commissioner Brothers. All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, next item is surplus property for Board of Education.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, any comments? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, well, we're moving right along. So tonight happens to be quarterly reports. There was some discussion about streamlining them, but do you want to start with the first one, or how do you want to proceed? Okay, all right. Clerk and Master, I don't believe he's in tonight. Circuit Court, I believe that report should have been on your desk for you tonight, if you had any questions. County Clerk is right here beside me.
I'll make this very brief. Your one-page report is right there in front of you. Bottom line is, year-to-date, July 1st through total transactions. Total collections is up 19% over last year, again, largely due to eliminating the discount. And then revenue for Bedford County is up 11% over last year.
Okay, is there questions or comments regarding her report? All right, we thank you for that. Sounds like there's plenty of demand. All right, next, school. I know Dr. Garrett's in the house.
This is the only night I can say I'm the most popular person in the room because it is snowing, right? And I got to hurry up and get to bed so I can get up at 3 a.m. No, we will make a decision when we make sure that we're safe, right? All right, just wanted to touch on a couple of things today. Enrollment is up. We are now at about 9,100 students, so we continue to grow. We are having an increase in our non-English speaking students. We have had a significant increase. Some weeks at Chevrolet Central High School, we've had as many as 18, which I know you guys are interested in. Every time we have 35 new non-English speaking students, it requires us by federal law to hire an extra ELL teacher. Right now, we're currently behind 10 ELL teachers, and have got our hands slapped by the state on that. So we will have to amend that budget and come back. But the problem is finding those with an ELL endorsement to hire. So we have 90 days to come up with a plan to fix that problem and prove that we have posted those jobs. Those have been posted since the first of the year. So we're struggling in that area. So anyone that you know that would like to be an ELL teacher, please send them my way. Liberty and Thomas plans have been submitted to the state for fire marshal approval. So we are going on with that process. We should open the doors next January for both the Liberty Edition and the Thomas Edition. The Cartwright Edition, we should receive the keys on June the 10th. We are ahead of schedule there. I don't know if you saw the beautiful picture posted on Facebook today with the almost double rainbow going over top of Cartwright. So I know that that has lots of good vibes going across that school. It's a beautiful facility, and we want you to put on your calendar, the ribbon cutting will be before the school board meeting on June the 20th. So make sure that you put that on your calendar. We wanted to set that early because we know a lot of folks take vacation, and we wanted you guys to be there. Today, and you probably, Bill Anderson will appreciate this with his flip phone, but I don't have a big, nice presentation, but I do have old school chart. And today, as I was in the boardroom and I thought about coming to see you guys tonight, I wanted to bring this because as groups with the school board, with you guys, of groups of determined folks that like to reach goals, sometimes we don't take the time to reflect on what we have accomplished together. And I say that because I do think what you will see on this is an accomplishment of the school board and the county commission working together. And I want you just to take a few minutes to reflect on what we've accomplished together. As you can see, in 2018, a 10-year plan was completed, which is at the top. And so you can see what we have completed and what is in progress. Then afterwards, we came back, I think maybe a year ago or so, revisit this and created a 5-year plan. As you can see, Cascade High was complete, the middle school upgrades complete from back to 2018. Learning Way Addition was complete. Community High School wing complete. New elementary school is in progress. The Liberty Middle and High, which we've kind of touched on that with our Liberty Middle School being in that addition. And then on our 5-year plan, which old TCAP building, space for BCLA, the Thomas expansion, and then, so I just wanted you guys to see, if you sit and reflect on what we have been able to accomplish together between the school board and the commission, it's quite a bit in a short amount of time. So I felt of value when I passed this today. Something just told me to bring this with me. And I wanted you guys to know how much we appreciate you and just reflect on what we've been able to do together. Thank you. Report card, state report card did come out. If you recall, the state report card, the formula was redesigned late November, 1st of December. The tests, they were taken in April and May. What we scored in Bedford County, we had 1A, 4 Bs, 6 Cs, 1 D, and 2 Fs. Southside and Aiken were in those bottom two. If the formula would not have changed, if we would have stayed with the formula that we thought we had when we took the test, we had 2 A's, 9 B's, 3 C's, and 1 D. So I wanted to make sure that you knew those and that we would.
The career counselors, are they starting this semester or next year?
They started in August, yes.
How is that going?
Those have gone very well. They have had the training. They are doing just phenomenal. One of our highlights is our high schools. I looked today, our EOCs from last semester came back today, so I was interested in being able to see those, to see how the block scheduling and moving toward that. And we had significant gains in our high school. I saw one high school that went from like 14% to 58% proficient. So you will see that our high schools are really the highlight of our scores at this point.
Any other questions for her? Thank you for that report, and thank you for working closely with our office and this commission to get some things done. All right, up next is our economic development folks.
Mayor and Commission, thank you for the opportunity to share just a little bit with you tonight. I want to talk to you about Tourism Chamber Activity Foundation Workforce Development and our Economic Development Programming. First of all, we'll dive into tourism just a little bit. Of Tennessee, our goal next year is to get to number 45. Right now, we have about $154 per household that is attributed to tourism in Bedford County that comes off of every household's tax rate, so our tax bill. So what we want to do is try to move ourselves up in that ranking to decrease the amount of taxes that each one of our households is responsible for paying. On the workforce development side, I don't want to take any or steal any thunder from Dr. Garrett, and I'll let her tell you one day about the ICON program, but we are still facilitating high school students being able to have employment opportunities under the umbrella of workforce development in some of our local manufacturers and with some of our other businesses. You will get an invitation to a reception with Mr. Jimmy Wright, who is the new president of the TCAT. That'll be on January the 30th, and we will make sure that you get an invitation to that reception so that you'll have an opportunity to meet him. On the economic development side, I do want to share with you that Project Parcel 26 has come to fruition. That's in the industrial park. That's another $100 million in capital investment and another 100 jobs. That project was worked with Nearest Green Distillery, and this is going to include bottling and distillation of whiskey. We will continue to work on the retail recruitment side. We will continue to work on projects to bring in more restaurants, grocery stores, and hotels. Thank you.
All right, is there questions?
Mr. Chair.
I heard somebody, but, okay, Commissioner Yaki first, and then was it you, Drew? Okay.
Shane, when do the numbers come out for, they used to go through the chambers, I'm not sure where they go now, to show high school students, how many are doing this, how many are doing that? Because those were the numbers that Beth Davis and a whole bunch of us started almost at the beginning of Dr. Garrett. So what I'm interested in is to see if those numbers have increased.
I will follow up with you on that, Commissioner Yaki. I'm not sure when those numbers come out, but I'll make sure that we find out when those come out, and I'll get those to you.
Commissioner
As a matter
Hooker.
of fact, I'll send those to Ms. Suzanne and let her share that with everyone.
Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Hooker.
Mr. Hooper, I know over the couple times over the last year, I've asked you about a TDEC report for
Correct.
Duxon. Where are we at on that status with that
Okay.
report?
So in discussions with TDEC themselves at the state level, Duxon has met all of the requirements. Those are federal requirements and state requirements, and they have met all of those. There is a permit on file for air quality, and there's a permit on file for the grading and water. So both of those are on the TDEC website.
All right. And then when Duxon was coming around, was your group the primary recruiting group that recruited for Duxon?
The way the process works is that industrial park, when it was purchased by the city and the county, they created a board that had oversight of that property, and that oversight was through what's called the 231 North Industrial Park Board. That 231 board has 2 members from the city, 2 members from the county on it, and then when it was at its inception, the industrial recruiter was on that board as well, and then when I came along, I became part of that 5-member voting board as well. Also, you have both mayors, the city mayor and the county mayor, for Shelbyville and Bedford as ex officio members of that group.
Thank you for that information. The reason I asked that, I had 3 constituents that reached out to me with concerns about this specific project, and I was actually able to get my hands on the TDEC report. And so with that, I reviewed that TDEC report, and there were several mentions of what's called volatile organic compounds that this Duxon facility will be releasing into the ground, or just through the manufacturing of the particular chemicals that they have. With that, they had concerns. These are residents that live within close proximity of that particular plant, as well as concerns of the number of plants that are in that location that also deal with volatile chemicals, including Walmart Distribution Center, and then the concerns of our hospital, airport, jail, soon-to-be juvenile detention center, all being in close proximity of those particular chemicals. And so just as you went through the process of recruiting this particular venture, did you go through that process to see through the volatile organic compounds what would be released into the ground, as well as potential concerns for public safety and public health?
The appropriate place to levy those concerns would be with the United States Department of Environmental Quality, as well as the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. We have to rely on our state and federal officials in the bureaucracy that is there to answer those types of questions. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for that. And so I just want to make sure it's on the record that these are concerns from our constituents that are in our community that live in close proximity of that. And as we move forward with community development and recruitment of businesses, that we put that in concern because these residents, prior to this being announced, had no clue or no ability to fight that particular company coming in, and now they're going to be dealt with any repercussions of a potential chemical issue down the road. So I just want to make sure that's on the record, and I appreciate your time being here.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments or questions? All right, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Next, elections, I believe, has a report for you on your desk tonight. Highway had provided a report in advance, and our property assessor is here, and so talk to us about what's going on in your department.
We're very busy. We have sent out schedules, personal property. They go out every year this time of the year. We have around 2,000 accounts, a little over that. Our mapping is overwhelming with all the subdivisions and the splits, and not particularly huge subdivisions, but we're working everyday splits, people who are splitting off properties and stuff. So we have been very busy with that. Appeals, I'm down to 2 appeals to be heard, and they'll be finished. They'll start again this next year, but some of them have carried for years. It takes forever to get these appeals heard. I had a lot of withdrawals. People withdrew their appeals. All of these were commercial properties, so we're very undervalued on all our homes, all our parcels, commercial, everything in Bedford County. Our last reappraisal was 2021. We had a ratio come out last year. It came out at 0.6556, lowest I've ever seen in 28 years. There are counties lower than that. And that ratio comes from what property is selling for and what it's appraised for. It's that difference. So this year, and this is my main thing I want to talk to you about, we picked up $127 million in new construction. And that sounds like a whole lot, and it is a whole lot. But when you put the assessment to it, and the tax rate, that's $757,086 in taxes is all. Now, real property is over here selling and changing hands, but we have personal property. And personal property is appraised every year. They call it market value. Property gets the ratio applied to it. It gets reduced by what the real property over here is doing to keep everything fair and equitable. So on the personal property side, even though we've gained $757,000 in taxes, we are losing $763,900 to that ratio. We can't change it. The state comes in and does it. We'll have another one next year. It could be lower. It's all going to be based off of what the sales are doing. So even though we've got a lot of new construction and things going on, it doesn't hit our tax. It hits our tax roll, but it gets taken off too with the personal property. We also, OSAP, Office of State Assessed Properties, that's with Nashville, that also gets reduced by that ratio. So we lose that. Again, nothing can be done right now. Can reappraise quicker. Right now, it's 4, 5, and 6-year reappraisal. We're on a 5. It takes a lot of manpower to move to a 4. We don't have it. We would have to hire. They're wanting to go to a 2-year reappraisal, which would do away with the ratio, which would be wonderful. But they're going to have to adjust what we have to look at every year, because small counties cannot look at everything in 2 years. It takes us right now 5 years. We're looking at over 6,000 parcels a year, visually looking at every one of them, and that doesn't count all the new construction that they're picking up. Anything that's questioned in the office, we go out and look at. I was out in the field yesterday all day. So we're looking at a lot of property. So hopefully we can get something through the legislature with this ratio to where it's not going to kill the counties. It's robbing us. And I had somebody from Murfreesboro come in and they said, I'm going to move back to Murfreesboro. I pay less taxes in Murfreesboro than I do here. And I said, well, you've got the sales tax base. You've got the wheel tax. You know, your tax rate is probably much less than ours because you do have that sales tax. So you've got to compare apples to apples, but that is a concern of mine, but it's part of the process.
So let me make sure I hear what you're saying in regards to, you're saying all the new construction that came on the books for this year, because that's what we like to say is, oh, but look at all the new construction and the new taxes that would come in with that. And we understand that only 25%, so if a $400,000 house new construction come online, we would only be taxing at $100,000 of the value in the first place. When you do that conversion on that $127 million, that really only generates $700,000 in new money, which is about 7 cents on the tax rate. If we were thinking about the penny being worth 120,000 somewhere, that sounds good. But because of the credit side on, is it real property or personal property, whichever one it is, the state gives the credit back to those that, and so therefore it basically makes us no real value. $1 million worth of homes are going to require services, police, fire, EMS, schools in all of that. So this is one of the challenges we have. Am I understanding you correct?
You're dead on. And we have never had a loss like that. In the past, our ratios have ran the first 2 years out, we might be at 92%. We've never seen ratios like this. Every county in Tennessee is seeing these kind of ratios. But it's what people are paying. And I don't see it stopping. I see it slowing down a little bit. And with the interest rates, fluctuating, we see, from week to week, things will speed up, slow down. But I don't see values changing. I don't see them dropping much. There was a property I was following. It was listed for $1.2 million. It sold for $999,999. It's not.
And your tax appraisal on that might have been what, 600,000?
600,000. And we can't just go in there and change it because it sold for that. That is a no-no. I will get a phone call from the state when I make changes like that. You have to have we can change things, but it has to be a legitimate reason. They've remodeled the house. They've done something to the property to cause that change.
So that individual that paid $1 million for that house is only paying property tax on a $600,000 value, correct?
Yes, sir.
So these are some of the things that make it difficult for us to overcome rapid growth. And there's other factors, but it seems like you just lay it on and everything's going to be great. Look at all this new money coming in, but then there's all these variables. Now, the County Mayors Association across the state of Tennessee is jumping up and down over this ratio issue, just like the property assessors are and the trustees. Everybody knows what that's doing because we're all connected in regards to it. So it's a great report. It's disheartening in some ways, especially if a property sold for $1 million. We ought to be able to at least assess it for what they gave for it. But under the current way, not till that 5-year cycle can we make any kind of adjustment. Is that right?
Correct. And on that 5-year, once we jump up to the next reappraisal, we set our new values based off of the sales. Sometimes that $1 million house may not be $1 million. It may be $800,000. So, and I would be glad and welcome any of you that want to come over and sit down and ask any question that you can think of. on how all this works, because there's so many moving parts and there's so many laws that are set that we have to go by. And you don't break those laws.
And we're leaving money on the table, but it's because of the bureaucracy at the state level has set parameters that we can't cross, as you're referring to. Commissioner Vick.
Thank you, Ms. Clanton. Can you walk us through on how the allocation on the personal property, how you come to that formula and how the state directs how you come to that conclusion on especially with the 0.9 evaluation on there? Help me understand that.
If our ratio was at 100%, our assessment would be $123,687,776. But because real property is over here selling high, personal property has to be equalized to reflect what the market's doing on the real side. So they apply a ratio of what the real property is doing. They take good sales, willing buyer, willing seller. They come in my office, they look at everything, they look at these numbers. They throw out any sales that they think are tainted and then they set that ratio. The personal property gets that ratio because they're saying that they are at market value every year. I disagree with that, because when you put your equipment on that schedule, it's being depreciated each year. So you might have say a 10-year-old piece of equipment on there that they're only paying on 20% of the total value of that equipment because it's depreciated down to that 20% level. Well, then they're turning around and getting that extra 0.6556 taken from it on top of it.
It's like a credit back to it.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. And personal property is a thorn in my side, but it's the law, and we administer it in my office, and we do it. But it doesn't sound like, but it brings in, there's probably 5% that bring in the biggest portion of the personal property. The rest are your mom and pop shops that are trying to put food on the table, pay their bills. They're not Walmart, they're not Tyson's, they're just trying to survive, and they get hit with these taxes. But when you take this tax away, then we got to look to the property owners to pick this money up. So it will never go away, but we just don't feel like it should get the ratio like it's getting. And we're still back and forth in the legislature with it. The comptroller has stepped in too, and he's aware of everything. He's the one too that is pushing to go to a 2-year. But again, some of your small counties won't be able to because of the cost to get that reappraisal done.
All right. And then when you said we had appeals and they're commercial appeals, we've talked about this before. My understanding is you go out and assess maybe a housing development that's been built by a third-party company that got federal tax credits to come to Tennessee and to Bedford and build this thing, and now it's assessed at $10 million, and they got $4 million worth of tax credits. They want to not pay tax on $4 million of that $10 million value on top of the fact they got the tax credit. That's the kind of things we're challenging, correct?
Yes, and it's a law that they have to pay taxes on those tax credits. It's written in the law, and we've gone all the way to Chancery Court with these companies because they don't agree with it. It's mind-boggling, and these big companies come in here and erode our tax base is what they're doing. They appeal when there's a ratio like it is. Say we had a company come in, they appealed. We had it at $23 million. It went in front of a judge. The company is a thriving company. They appraised it as a Tier 2 warehouse. This is a specialized company that has a lot of money in it. The judge agreed with their appraisal, turned around and added a little for the specialty of the building, and took it from $23 million to $18 million. And then they got the ratio, which dropped it down to 15 million is what they paid taxes on. Lowe's appeals. Every Lowe's in the state of Tennessee got appealed. And they just come in and do these blankets. But they're eroding these small counties' tax base.
So our assessor's office and through your association are fighting these things. We're not asking for money that's not ours, but we don't want to leave money on the table. And that's the battle that's going on constantly for us. It looks like money's coming in, but it's flying out through these other mechanisms that we're not able to hold on to it. So thank you for all the good work you did with that. Is there any other question for her? All right, thank you so much. All right, I believe next, Register of Deeds wasn't able to be here tonight, had a family.
A little ditto to the appeals, she said. Again, anything with these other departments we work so closely with, these appeals, our office only takes the undisputed amount because we all are small counties. A lot of the counties, even small, would take that full amount, and then exactly of a story that Rhonda shared, then they had to pay back interest with these appeals and how the courts are now judging on them. So I can tell you, Bedford County, our office, we take only undisputed amount. So we are not out any interest. They are out the interest paying back to us when they are settled. I'm just going to make it brief if there's any questions because we are in midterm of collection. October through December is basically, December is our month when the mortgage drops the files. So we are really nice for some people, but that doesn't work when you're the wrong one. But if there are any questions, I know we need to go home tonight. Like I said, we are kind of like mid-year of the budget. I did look back at our numbers. Basically, my report is as detailed like y'all are used to looking at. But I did look back at past years, and year end's always your full year of comparison, but we're right on where we normally are in this time of midterm. So,
All right,
we have any questions?
Yeah, questions for Tanya? Thank you for doing that. Now, your office collects, is it real property or personal property? Which one is it you're going?
Both.
Okay, so that's how they're linked into the assessor and how that all works.
And I
so,
can tell you, the assessors and the trustees, Bethany is blessed to have an assessor with such experience, knowledge, and she knows the law, and she fights for Bedford County. I have been in the room with her, so.
Absolutely, and I have too. Thank you guys so much for that. Any other questions for her? All right, so we're ready for announcements. The county offices will be closed on January the 15th for Martin Luther King Day. And a reminder that if you haven't gotten notice about filing your Tennessee Ethics Commission documents, they're due the end of January. If you're having any problem or need some help, our office is happy to help you either log on or get your form filled out if you haven't gotten it. So be sure and let us know that. Commissioner Thomas.
Just another reference to that, I think the letter said this will be the last time these letters go out. You'll be notified by email only, I think is the way it read. And correct me if I'm wrong.
I didn't read it that close, apparently. I just filed it. So, okay, good point, and we'll look at that a little bit closer. Also, on January the 12th, I just got notice today that the Grindstone Cowboy, Shelbyville, right here on the square, is going to have a kickoff event. And it's on January the 12th at 10 o'clock. So if any of you are up and around and the weather is permitting, they'd love to have you. We'd love to see you there as they get ready to get started there with the Grindstone. That's right here on the corner in the old, I guess, Riverview building, or Times Gazette used to be there a gazillion years ago or what have you. So we're looking forward to that addition to the square. 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock on January the 12th. Is there any other announcements? All right, how about adjourn?